But in the NRA, we always ask the people, have our soldiers disturbed you here in this village? Yes or no? If yes, we look for the one who did it. Recently, our soldiers killed villagers in Somalia, and they were tried on the spot there. Because we interacted with the people. We are even trying to organize Matoput with the Somalis. Matoput is the Banyankore call it Karaba, to have blood settlement. So the NRA has used this connection with the victims. That's why, yes, there are those who make mistakes, and maybe with the new group of leaders who may not know our culture well in the NRA, but we always remind them. That culture worked very well. Where you work with the victims, you can't go wrong. You can't lose touch. Now, apart from the method of performance audit, Torami has rightly pointed out about the new technological innovations, electronic procurement. We are no longer going to allow this business of person-to-person contact. No. Conduct business through the computer, and the computer will leave the whole track there. All the interaction, all the messages, will be there. That also will definitely help. Now, after I had set up the grassroots structure, really to fight corruption, because there was no other reason. There was no other reason why you should have double government. Gombora Chief, LC3, DC, RDC, LC5. Why? There was no need. But it was actually to fight corruption. That was the reason. Then, when I created these units, I remembered to try and recruit. We used what we call integrity hunting. We would hunt integrity. And integrity hunting, we were not just advertising and then people come, the one who runs fast is the one who, Let's hunt people with integrity. And actually, I used quite a bit. I'm glad the Inter-Religious Council are here. Because of my history of Scripture Union, I recruited quite a bit from those faith-based cadres. The first one was Stephen Akabwai. I had been with him in the Scripture Union at Ntare. He was 2 years ahead of me. And I had never seen him since 1965. So when I came in the government and we were looking for tax, URA, there were people, this one commissioner, these commissioners. There is a man called Stephen Akabwai. Is he still alive? They didn't even know him. So we went around with, yes, he's alive. Where is he? He's a deputy headmaster somewhere. Then I said, you bring me Akabwai. So the Akabai came. He had been a deputy headmaster. The shoe was like this. You know, when people are not. You can see people who are not stealing. You can see them. Especially during the time of, who are not stealing during the time of Amin. So I said, Akabai, I want you to do URA. But I don't know how URA, they will teach you. So I called URA people. You teach Akabai how to be URA. Because collecting tax is not a big issue. Just not to be a thief, that's all. So that's how Akabai became. Was he not commissioner? Was he not Commissioner Akabai? Who is from URA? Huh? What was Akabai? Come and tell us.
Your Excellency was Commissioner General.
Yes, yes. Then I continued. There are so many cadres from that background. One time there was a Catholic group of Ankole area. The one with the Archbishop Bachenga. And they came, they were talking. I said, no. I said, look, I don't want you to talk. There is a war. You bring me people to fight. They gave me some people. I put them in the URA. They were there for many years. I don't know how they performed. Nakarema is a Mlokori. So I said Nakarema now. Don't just sit here and start shouting. There is a war, you go and fight. She's there struggling, fighting. So, yourselves, because I have really no problem, I'm dying to get faith-based cadres to fight this war. But I think even the faith-based cadres don't know how to link with the victims. I don't know what the problem is. They don't know how to link up with the victims. Because if you did this, the work would be very easy. It's not such a difficult job, really. Because the victims are there. What seems to be happening is that corruption is like AIDS. You know what AIDS does? It takes over your cells. As soon as you create a group, it is infiltrated and it is hijacked and taken over. Otherwise, I cannot explain. It's really very easy to fight this corruption because the bet Kamia, Oye Kamia, as usual. Because the victims are there. So what is the problem? The victims are there. If the victims were far away, in Liberia or something, you would say you don't know. But the victims are here. Why don't you listen to them? I think the problem is that even when we use good cadres, they bureaucratize themselves and get reports from the Kawukumi, which has already infiltrated. That becomes the end of the... That's what Bishop Joshua Reda was talking about. That's why the people are now skeptical. Say, they are all the same. Because otherwise, the people are there. The victims are there. So, I think Betty can make sure this by linking the faith, There are really some faith-based people who are not corrupt. They are there. But do they know how to work with the victims? I think this may be the issue. Now, then, my political and bureaucratic class Your Lordship, Chief Justice, help me with my achori, dishing food. I had picked it in the election, but I forgot. Dishing food to your, what do we call it? To dish food and you put it on the plate. Give him a microphone near here. Bring him a microphone. Nani. Bring that microphone there. Sitting like a... Call no, to dish out and you put on your plate, to distribute the food. Poko. I have remembered now, in the campaign I was calling it Poko Marom. Poko Marom. Poko Marom as opposed to Poko Maraj.
Poko Marom is equally or equitably.
Very good.
And Maraj is wrong.
So now, thank you very much. Now, for the political, I had forgotten my rule. For the political class, and that's what Bishop Reda was talking about. Why our conduct incites, like for instance, the doctors who go on the strike and say, we want more money. And then you say, there is no money. But if there is no money, why is that one getting so much? So, I told you this. I said, you people who are clamoring for salaries, you are going to destabilize our system. That's why I refused the salary of the president to be raised. I refused. Because how will you say, tighten your belt when you are loosening yours? You will know it's rukhura. Then you tell others to tighten the belt. So here, we had got a good solution. 1996, but people don't listen. People don't listen. The solution was, there's what they call compression ratio. Compression ratio. In 1996, we appointed a committee which looked around the whole world. And the question was, where there is good governance, how much more does the highest paid get compared to the lowest paid in the public service? And that is what they call compression ratio. And we looked around the whole world, and we found that the best compression ratio was in some countries, I think Sweden or something like that, and it was a ratio of 1 to 10, which means that if the highest is getting 10 million, the lowest must get 1 million. With such a population ratio, you can manage things. But if you have got a population ratio of 1,000 to 1, then you incite trouble. And it's good that Bishop Rueda has talked about. Of course, me, I refuse it completely, that I will never be part of this blindness to, as long as I'm in charge here for the president. So therefore, that issue should now be sorted out. We should resolve that enough is enough, as the girl was saying, the girl from Bordeaux, that this Poko Marach must stop. We must go for Poko Marom only. Engabula enungi. Engabula enungi. But all these are happening. You are now fighting over money because I have generated money for you. That's why you are fighting. Who will get more money? Who will steal more? Because we have generated money. NRM has generated money for you. How? Three things. Number one, the army. The army, the NRA, UPDF has guaranteed security here in Uganda. So the thieves can steal, the ones who are Poko Marach can do, but there is peace. There is peace. Secondly, we have developed infrastructure. Although there are those who steal, who do this, but still the infrastructure somehow continue improving. The roads, the electricity, education of the children goes on, the schools, the health centers are built. They still, yes, but things still move. And thirdly, the private sector. The private sector keeps coming. Keeps coming, why? Because of the peace, because of the infrastructure, but also because of the correct policies, policies of pro-private sector policies. And because of that, the economy is growing. So there's more money. So all this money you are quarreling over is money developed by, created by the NRM. The economy is bigger. It is more than 40 billion now. It used to be $1 billion. But there's no reason why we should not do things properly now. There's no reason why we should go on with the corruption, with the tension, with what? No. And the economy will grow even much faster if we did not have those distractions. So therefore, on the narrow issue of corruption, really this is very easy to deal with. If the anti-corruption people could deal with the victims, finish, there's nothing, didn't mind. Now, that would leave us only with one issue, the issue of Ladit, Chief Justice, and his group. Because if the victims report the thief and the corruption agencies, like, which is what Bet Kami was talking about, and then you come, and then we need there we can have a dialogue also with the CJ and the courts. Once we have clearly refined our strategy of relying on the victims to wage the war. The people we select on integrity hunting basis. You deal with the victims. Then if we found a problem on the side of the courts. Then we shall discuss with the CJ, how do we handle this? Because he's here, and he's not in London, he's here with us. And we can discuss and see how to move. So therefore, for me, I don't think this is really a big issue. The issue is ourselves. You have not used, number one, I want to know why the LC1, who are elected by the people, but I think those are ignored. I don't think anybody consults even those. I don't think anybody consults them. The more interest, the better person I want to find out is why the LC3 chairperson, who is elected by the people, would have things going wrong in his area and he just keeps quiet. And yet he's paid. He's not powerless like the LC1. And then the LC5. Those are the two people. The MP, that one, many of them are returnees. Those ones I wouldn't. If he's a good MP, he can be close with the people, but many of them, but the other ones, the other two. So therefore, this is a subject I know very well, and I knew long ago, in the 1950s, when I was watching those vets, the health staff, like for instance, you see, like my father, Amos Kaguta was somebody, he only read the Iteka. There was a Church of Uganda alphabet booklet. A, E, I, O, U, Y, Ya, Ba, Pa, Fa, Ma, Da, Ta, Ra, Hara, Na, Za, Sa, Ga, Ha. That was the Nyankore alphabet, produced by the Church of Uganda. That's the one Kaguta read. And my mother, Esther, read. But Kaguta had syringes, a bomb of injecting cows in his house, in his traditional house, when he was in the traditional houses. He had all the veterinary drugs. There was one veterinary drug known as antricide. Banyankore were calling it kachungwa, because it's Jewish. There was the one from Rwanda. You can imagine, cross-border. The one cross-border, I think it was Berener or something. The Banyankore were calling it Kasai because it was red like blood. Then we had the other one, the whitish one, Prosort. Banyankore were calling it Matunda like skimmed milk. Kaguta had all these drugs. Can you imagine? Amos Kaguta, the one who did not go to school, he had all these drugs in his house. Buying them from whom? The veterinary people. This business of the veterinary not caring about people's cows, the people having to care for the cows themselves, buying garments, is from the 1940s, 1950s. There's a boy in Parliament, the boy called, this one who talks a lot, Theodore Sechkubo. That honorable. His father, Sam Mwagarwa, used to go in all these cattle markets, injecting people with penicillin. He was a bush doctor, Sam Mwagarwa. Penicillin from, where do you get penicillin from? It must have been from government stores. So, this is an old war. And the NRM, from the beginning, gave you a solution, but you should audit for me why this grassroots structure either doesn't work or is not used. Which of the two? Either doesn't work or is not used, the grassroots. Because this is the structure of the victims, which is what Beth has talked about. I think you have made my day today. Thank you very much. The Wanyankore say, that if you keep walking, the legs one day will reward you. So by keeping walking, I think now I have landed on Betty.